Hey guys, it's Melody. Welcome back. I'm here today sharing a little bit of a Halloween project that I made. Yes, I'm aware it's November 1st, but I didn't really like how this project turned out. So maybe it'll get buried a little bit before next Halloween. So this is from the Treasure Lee Mixed Media Kit from October 2022. And it was a little wooden bat, and I was kind of excited to play around with some of the stuff they sent with this Mixed Media Kit. So I started by covering both sides of the bat with some Tim Holtz Distress Paint in black soot, and then the purple paint is Dinah Wakely Mixed Media acrylic paint in eggplant. And this that's going on right now is just your standard white acrylic paint, any color. It was going on a little thicker than I wanted it to, and definitely thicker than the back side, which you'll see at the end of the video in a close-up. So I sprayed a little bit of water on it there, just kind of wet that down a little bit and make sure that the black paint is definitely coming through. A few pats here with my quilted Quicker Picker Upper. And I really liked how the paper towel left a little bit of texture on the bat there. I knew this kit was going to have no shortage of texture mediums, and so I was kind of excited how that turned out with the paper towel and the wood. Here's the eggplant paint going on for the first layer. And I really liked this shade of purple, and even though it was a little more of a kind of springtimey purple with the black and the white, it really kind of ended up looking a little cloudy and spooky, which was the effect I was going for. I never really wanted to let too much of my paint dry, and as most of you know, I'm definitely an air dry kind of person. But before I went to the next layer, I did want to have it mostly dry because I knew I was going to continue to layer all three shades of this paint and another medium that you'll see in a second. And I knew I was going to do it mostly wet to kind of get that cloudy effect. So a little more of the Tim Holtz paint, and I'm just using it straight out of the bottle instead of using the dabber. Make a few shadows up closer to the wings and kind of outline the ears of the bat, just to kind of give it a little bit of contour. And if you use this Tim Holtz Distress paint out of the bottle instead of using the dauber, you can get a much thinner and more liquid paint. So what you just saw there was some folk art glitter, glitterific fine in purple violet, which was actually the inspiration behind using the eggplant paint, because the first time I used this glitter paint, I realized that it was a lot more glitter and a lot less purple. So I decided I was going to go for a purple and black Halloween bat at the time. And this stuff's pretty thick too, so I knew that it was going to add even more texture to the paint below that the paper towel kind of left a texture print in as well. And so now I'm just going back over it with some more of the white paint. And again, I'm really just trying to blend all three colors and get a cloudy effect instead of a muddy effect. And I know it's a little hard to see on the video, but this glitter paint is really kind of coming through to the top of the white paint there. So I added a little bit more water so that I could get a little bit more of that mix. Send some of the white to the bottom, some of the glitter to the top. More quilted, Quicker Picker Upper there. And here's where it really starts to get fun with the painting. And I'm kind of just going to go a little haywire here and just use whatever colors I want to and let them blend with one another. The purple really started darkening up, believe it or not, on top of the white layer, but with just a smidge of this black added back in here. And again, I kind of wanted to define those wings a little bit. One of the main highlights of the kit, which is what you'll see here in a second, involves foil transfer sheets and foil transfer glue pens. And I was really curious. I'd used both the pen and the foil before on cardstock and other forms of paper, but I wasn't really sure how the foil was going to transfer with this many layers of paint, this many different types of texture, and just in general not being a smooth surface. Because with these three shades of paint and the glitter paint also, going on in various areas, and also having different levels of weight or viscosity. Even though it's a little hard to see, there were areas where the paint was built up a little more. And even though this provided, um, a level of texture, it obviously didn't rise to anything like modeling paste or whatnot. Either way, I was really excited to see what the foil transfer was going to look like on a less flat surface than what you would find on paper or cardstock. So here we go. Somehow I missed the video of me applying the glue that adheres these foil transfer sheets down, but don't worry, we'll catch that again later in the video on the bottom half of the bat. So I took my foil transfer sheets, just cut them into little strips, and made sure that the foil covered all of the areas where the glue application rather was, and just put those down. And the most important thing is that you need to make sure, if you're doing something like this where you're trying to keep a line, or in this case going around the edges of the bat, if you have to make a little cut and put little pieces of the foil on there, just make sure you do the best you can to line those edges up, because then you won't have to go back and make corrections. And once you've got your foil down there, you just kind of want to go over it with some type of tool. A popsicle stick would have worked just fine, but since I didn't have any, I just found this little plastic piece that goes in one of my card making kits, and just use the edge of that to rub the foil sheet down, pretty firmly against that glue. As you're doing this, and whether you're doing this on cardstock or on any other surface, you'll begin to see where your adhesive is through the foil. So it kind of helps you know if you have rubbed everything on. So I let that sit for a few minutes and came back, and now I'm going to start to peel the foil away. And the only thing that should remain is the areas where I have the adhesive. As you're slowly picking this up, you can see I just went back over it with my little plastic tool there. When you're pulling it up, you can kind of tell if you've got your straight line or if it's precise or not. And if it's not, just lay that foil sheet back down and go back over it again with that tool. As far as I know, there's no requirement to let the foil sit on the adhesive for a couple of minutes. I do just because I've had better luck that way, but you're certainly more than welcome to try it any way that you want to. And so on the back side here, all I really wanted to do was go around the edges of the bat with the foil, and then also put a little bit of writing in the middle, which you'll see a little bit later. And even though we skipped showing the adhesive application process on the top half, here we go on the bottom half. Most of these pins are fairly similar to one another, and the most important thing is to kind of check your work as you're going along and make sure that you have a good healthy dose of this adhesive. You don't want places where there's just a little bit, because you're liable to not get as much of that foil transfer sheet to come out on your project. So this is a case where more is better. Of course, you can always overdo it. I don't recommend that, but you definitely want to make sure you use enough of the adhesive here. And even though you can't see, I took a little bit of a break there and let that adhesive dry for about 2 or 3 minutes. I think the package says 30 to 90 seconds or 30 to 60 seconds, but I have found that it's better to just let it get a little more dry. It doesn't have to be completely tacky when you're putting the foil transfers on, and especially not if you, again, used a good healthy dose. So about the time that I started to try to fix the little bat's ears there, I realized that I had written something in the middle and stuck my finger right in that glue. And I had probably let it sit for about 3 minutes, and it was still pretty tacky. So even though it says you only have to wait 30 to 60 seconds, have a little patience, especially if you're working with a rough or textured surface like I am here. So this is just the exact same process I was using before. I'm using the edge of this plastic piece to go over where I placed the foil transfer over the adhesive. And now we're starting to pick it up again. If you look closely there, you can almost see the letters in Boo coming out. And that's what I mean when I say as you kind of rub on this, you'll start to see whatever design or writing that you put down with the adhesive come through that transfer sheet a little bit. Also, these transfer sheets are double-sided. You want the shiny side facing up to you and the more dull side facing down. Lesson learned the hard way. Learn from me, folks. And again, if you just peel slowly, you can kind of see your progress and see what you need to rub on a little more. I practiced with this on several different types of wood before I made this project, and even though overall I didn't like how the project came out, I really was able to learn a lot on the wood pieces that I practiced on. And I also noticed that even if you have to go back over what you've already kind of pressed down with your plastic piece or popsicle stick, I noticed that if I rubbed on an area that had already been transferred, this foil really does not want to come up. So once it's adhered, it's in a pretty good spot. Like I said earlier, I was not totally satisfied with this project, but I thought it was important to go ahead and post it because what I was satisfied with was the coloring. I really liked how the coloring came out, and honestly, I kind of liked how even though the foil adhered well, but that it did kind of come up in a few places where there was texture or where the wood wasn't smooth. So there you have it. Learn from my mistakes or call it a beautiful adventure. We'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching.